ఓం శ్రీ గురుభ్యో నమః. అందరికీ నమస్కారం. See, generally everybody is having a common problem, that is worrying. See, worry, how does it arise in one's life? See, when a person does all that what he can do, and the result is not, the expected result is not in his hands, and when he is affected by the impossible ways of achieving that result, then when there is no way left for him to pursue, to fulfill that objective or that desire, it may be genuine desire. So, when he faces resistance or when he faces failure on his part to move forward anymore, then the worry arises in him. How to solve this problem? So, for instance, a sick man in a family, a family member is affected by illness. So, the illness, after series of tests, he came to know such illness is incurable, in spite of all the facilities or resources available at present. Then naturally he is affected with worry, though he does and he extends all the treatment to such family member, besides pouring his love and affection. So, there are many problems in family life, social life, official life and personal life. So, man gets worried and gets affected by in the grip of the worry all the time for one thing or other. So, there are many problems for anyone. Then, how to encounter and transcend that worry or those worries? Is there any way to get out of the worries a man faces in his life? Certainly, there is a way. For every problem you face, there is a way. You see, that way is celebration of the life. Then immediately the question arises, how is it possible to celebrate in those problems? See, worry is the way of the world to encounter any problem. But celebration is the way to encounter any problem in life. This is the way of a spiritual and awakened person, or a religious person. If you are truly on the path of the divine, celebration is the only way. Let us examine. It is like this. There are so many thorns, like problems, to a plant, rose plant. So, but when you notice the blooming of a rose flower, will you see the rose flower or the thorns on the plant? When you see the rose flower and when you feel the fragrance of the rose flower, then you become blind to the thorns of the plant. You try to pluck the flower to have the fragrance at your home. Similarly, the flower has become so attractive and so beautiful, not only because of its beauty and fragrance. It spreads. But remember, it is beautiful. It has become beautiful for you because of the number of thorns around it. The flower has become so precious because it is surrounded by thorns, and as it is in the midst of the thorns. If there are no thorns, the rose flower would have become an ordinary flower. So, similarly, problems are there and will be there, and remember, the problems, any problem cannot be solved. The problems have to be encountered and transcended. You have to encounter the problem and transcend it with awakening, with awareness. So, the first step need to be taken in attempting to solve the problem, or in attempting to overcome the problem, or in attempting to encounter the problem, is acceptance. Accept the reality. Accept the reality of the problem. When you accept it, then question it. Question and inquire into the source of the problem as to how it has arisen. Is it because of your behavior, or is it because of the circumstances, or is it because of the conditions, maybe biological, maybe psychological, maybe social conditions? Has it come? So, when you inquire into the source, the very source of the problem, and when you come to know that it has arisen not with your interference, but it is the drama of the life, and in a sequence of circumstances and in the contexts which are beyond your control, that problem has arisen. So, in such a case, accept the problem. An illness has come, an incurable disease has come, a marriage of your near and dear one, which you have performed with so much love and affection, has failed without any this thing on your part, without any doing or without any expectation on your part. It has failed. So you start worrying. In spite of the best efforts, in spite of the best intentions you are having behind performing such kind of actions, still it has gone astray, the result has gone astray. How to face it? How to solve it? So you start worrying. Then, in such a case, realize that the problem has come or has been created or has arisen on its own. So, when it has come on its own, and when it goes also on its own, or when the problem disappears on its own without your interference, without any effort on your part, realize that the problem has come from somewhere and it disappeared into nowhere. For instance, a person in the family is diagnosed with some kind of a incurable disease. You go to different doctors and you administer different types of treatment, but to of no avail. It will not be solved, it will not be cured. But after some period of all this process of treatment, suddenly an idea has come to the patient and he stops taking the medicines for a while, maybe 1 or 2 days. Suddenly, the patient realizes that her or his health started improving and the symptoms of illness started disappearing. He has not taken any new medicine. He has simply stopped taking the medicine for a while. So, it is amazing, it is surprising, but there are cases like that. So, Similarly, failure of marriages, parents worry a lot, but when they realize that their part to the extent of that marriage, or to the extent of their responsibility in performing that marriage, or to the extent of educating their son, is over. They have done their best in those endeavors. And if the son fails, if the marriage of the daughter is disrupted, they will be disturbed intensely, and they start worrying. It is very natural, because they are human beings. But when they come into contact or communion with a master, with an enlightened being, they come to know that the health of the son is perfect. He is not affected by any illness, and he has not developed any bad habits, and his behavior is found to be continuously in a good state. His attitude towards everyone is perfectly in order. So, but he may have lost the exam. He may not have performed his studies well. He may not have excelled well in education, but in all other areas of his life, he is perfectly okay and leading a joyous life, besides putting all his efforts for a better life. So, you will be surprised to ignore all these positive traits in your own offspring, in your own son, or in your own children. And then, when you realize this, your worry about him start disappearing, and you start celebrating the presence of your children with the family, because after they grow up, they may leave the family in search of their career or employment opportunities or for any other laudable reason in their life. So then you start celebrating his presence. You want to enjoy the stay of your son with you, which may disappear any time in pursuit of his career. So, similarly, a daughter, marriage which you have performed with all expectations of an excellent martial life for her, may have disappeared. All your expectations may have failed because the marriage has become a failure for whatever reasons it may be. But when you stop worrying about the failure of the martial relationship, and when you start realizing all the positive traits which your daughter possesses in the field of education, employment, and so on and so forth, then you realize and come to know that there is a life, there is a fortune of joy and bliss awaiting her in her life. So, it is foolish to worry about her career as she is otherwise healthy and wealthy in all other aspects of her life. So, to have this awareness, everyone needs the company and communion with a living master. When it is not possible to have contact with a living master, one must be in the company of the seekers of such awakening. All the seekers are intensely waiting for such awakening through mutual exchanges of ideas and practices and mutual exchange of the divine satsangs. So satsang is a platform where all the seekers assemble and dwell on the divine. So, and they also share their experiences of the divine. So, when you are in the company of such seekers who are awaiting their awakening in communion with a master or the divine, there is every possibility for awareness and awakening of your own self. So, you have to accept the reality to transcend the problem and not to worry about the problem. Problems are there, will be there always, but one should know how to transcend the problems and in the path not to worry at all about the problem. The only way to encounter and transcend the problem is celebration of life through awareness, through awakening of thyself. So, thank you.